Hello, hello, hello. It has been a while, hasn't it? Well, even last year, I didn't record as many episodes as I would have liked to. I was just busy with life and tackling and surviving life. And I'm still kind of in that mode now, to be completely honest. But I do feel it's time to start talking to you again. This is the first episode of 2023, and it is a very personal episode. It took me a while to really think about the best way of approaching this episode because it is so personal, and I know some people are going to listen to it, and I don't want anyone to take it personally either. But I don't know, maybe it's therapeutic, maybe it's human. It is human, and I think that is what this podcast is about. It's not about putting on a perfect face for people. It's about being oneself. And so I do think it is important for me to tell you some of the things that I'm going through personally, or that I have been through personally. It's just good to get it out because I've held a lot in my life, despite what some people may think when I'm vocal at work. In my personal life, I tend to hold a lot in, and it's just helpful to get this out. I don't know how helpful or useful this will be for other people, but if it can help at least one person listening to this episode, then that's something. So let's go. These are my lessons from 2022 and a bit from 2023. Welcome to A Human Perspective, a podcast where I'll be sharing work and personal experiences and learnings. I will also chop it up with guests from time to time who will also share their own perspectives. I can't promise everything you hear on this podcast will always be right, but I can promise to always give you a human perspective. My name is Lola Oguntoken, and I'm your host. Let's go. For the past couple of years, I have been sharing my lessons from the previous year. Last year was a little different. I experienced a lot of drastic changes. I stood up for myself in ways I hadn't for some time. I took chances and remembered some truths I've always known but buried. But I didn't get the chance to properly reflect until the end of the year. And to be completely honest, I'm still reflecting now. Some topics I'm still fluctuating on a daily basis. Others, I'm doubling down on. I always thought I looked out for myself, but last year, I realized that even though I try to be my authentic self, I did water myself down to be palatable for people who did not care about me and who did not take care with me. I slowed down to keep up with these relationships. And when I look back now, I realized 2022 was about breaking away from people I had outgrown or was no longer in alignment with, and valuing myself enough to stand up for myself. I was constantly trying to please others and move at their pace, and by doing so, I was denying my own needs and not truly owning my life. If I'm to be honest, this didn't happen overnight. I had been conceding for years, and before I knew it, I was looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself. This is why these lessons are coming later than usual. These major moments of reflection and realization can be pretty overwhelming, both mentally and physically. I'm still working on myself, healing, rebuilding, and creating anew, but I don't want to take any longer sharing the lessons I have discovered so far. Lesson number 1, trust yourself. When you're silent and alone, you know deep down what is right for you, what makes sense for your life, what makes you feel yourself and content. We often distract ourselves with things we have been raised to believe are important, and it gets in the way of people knowing themselves. I do feel I have known myself for a long time, but I've lived in a way to placate and fit in enough to not be too disruptive. In turn, I've slowly become unhappy, not listening to myself deep down. maintaining states, jobs, friendships, and relationships that don't feed me in any way sometimes. When I wanted to walk away, I told myself I need to try harder. The problem with this is when you're the only one trying, it is fucking exhausting. And my try harder, try to make this work tank depleted last year. And it wasn't pretty, but I'm glad it happened. Not having anything left slowly freed me. I know everyone wants to fit in. We do have a herd mentality and we lock ourselves in quote unquote safe lives that we can't escape from. Some people are happy with this. Some know nothing else. Others can't imagine anything else. I want something else. I don't even know completely what that is yet, but I'm stepping towards it. But like a baby deer taking her first shaky steps. It's scary, it's exciting, and necessary for my survival. I'm learning to trust myself again, try things, take risks, use my voice, and not apologize for doing so. I am learning to live and not simply exist. Lesson number 2, let go of the outcome. My generation and those before have grown up in the school of, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Keep going at it until it works or turns around. And I honestly feel this is a great skill to have, perseverance and persistence, golden. But then a time comes when your perseverance and persistence turns on you and you lose yourself because you don't want to lose. You don't want to give up or walk away. You see this as a failure. This links back to the first point around trying harder and trying to make things work. But I've learned that sometimes it doesn't work because it's not meant for you. Something else out there is. We all get caught up in the boundaries of our lives and often think there is nothing else, no other way, no other option. But by thinking this way, we limit ourselves. I took a risk last year taking a role I thought would have been a very short-term gig, and it ended up lasting longer than I imagined. It was the first time in many years I took a role without overthinking it, and I wasn't attached to the outcome. I went in with the let's see how it goes approach, and it was the new start I didn't know I needed. When something isn't working and you feel you're in an unhealthy loop, it's important to create some distance in order to gain perspective. Don't let your ego hold on to an outcome that may only exist in your imagination. When you're able to step back, you're able to see the bigger picture and gain a better understanding of the situation. When you then see it's doing more damage than good, keep on walking. It's not a loss, it's a lesson and an opportunity for something new and better to bloom. Lesson number 3, protect and preserve yourself. I have been in uncomfortable positions both inside and outside of work, putting others' comforts above my own. In some instances, I was explicitly told to do this. In others, I did this to maintain relationships and to cultivate harmony. I realize now, if I truly love myself, I have to put myself in spaces where I feel valued, loved, and cared for. If and when that is not happening, I need to exit or create distance. Previously, I was afraid to disappoint people, so I'd show up, irrespective of my anxiety around the whole scenario and how it would make me feel. I didn't want to appear to be difficult or selfish. There was even one scenario where I would verbally reduce myself in order to make another feel more comfortable and secure. Lo and behold, this didn't work. Well, not for me anyway. Words have power. And this may sound a little dramatic to you, but I was destroying myself with these words, which in turn impacted how I was showing up and perceiving myself as a person and a professional. So be careful. Don't absorb other people's judgments, unhappiness, and insecurities as your own. Please know the words you use to describe yourself have power. Protect yourself from the views of others and preserve yourself through positive self-talk. Lesson number 4, validate yourself. I had a big decision to make recently. I already knew what my answer was and what I would do next, but I needed reassurance. So I went to someone who means a lot to me and told them my plans. And guess what happened? I didn't hear what I needed to hear. This really saddened me, and it did set me back. But I quickly understood we all have our own paths and perspectives, and not everyone is going to understand yours or give you the words you need to confidently take a risk. If I'm to be honest, the person I spoke to is risk averse by nature, so what did I expect? Anyway, sometimes you're going to share news with people and their reaction won't be what you hoped for. Be sure before going into any conversation with anyone outside of yourself that you have already validated and reassured yourself. You don't need permission to live your life according to your judgment. I'm still on the road to rebuilding myself and building myself anew, and I've started to recognize myself again. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be on this path and the journey to come. I hope you also have the opportunity to work on what means most to you and achieve your dreams this year. And it's not too late to say, I wish you a wonderful 2023. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of A Human Perspective. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next.